Saints going all the way, Saints going all the way. Kumbaya, this the Who That Nation. Game on the line, you can bet we take them. Go black and gold, black and gold. Don't stop, boy, we trying to win the Super Bowl. We rock and roll, rock and roll. Touchdown, go Saints, we gonna do it some more. We rock and roll. Touchdown, go Saints, now give me some more. Now, who that, holla, who that, holla, who that, holla, who that, who that nation. Black and gold, black and gold. Oh yeah, fire stuff. Black and gold, black, who that? They ain't ready for us. They ain't ready for us. They ain't ready for the black and gold, black, who that? They ain't ready, what up? They ain't ready, what up? They ain't ready for the black and gold, black and gold. Game time, baby.
This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com. For those that enjoyed the Lawnmower 3.0, well, I got news for you. The Manscaped engineering team has successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the Lawnmower 4.0. The leader in male grooming is taking it to the next level. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped for all their below-the-waist needs. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code STATEOFSAINTS, and you will save 20% off on the Lawnmower 4.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com. Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Happy Friday to you, because, of course, we're recording this. We're live on a Friday afternoon. It is 1 o'clock here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I got to tell you, it is a beautiful day outside, man. I was outside a few minutes ago. And I was putting some air in my wife's tires. And, I was also putting some air in, a few tires of the car. And, man, I was like, man, it's a good day outside. I mean, it's not too hot. It's not too cold. I mean, it definitely feels like fall here in Myrtle Beach. And hopefully, no matter where you are, wherever you may be, hopefully you're experiencing some good weather, because Lord knows if you've been on the Gulf Coast or been out here, it's been raining quite a bit. I think people have had they done had enough of the rain. All right. So as people file in, we got 62 people as of right now. I ask that you hit the like button. Let everybody know that you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast and all this content. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge this from the bottom of my heart. I really do mean this. Thank you to every single person that has ever watched the State of the Saints podcast, because we have reached a new milestone. The State of the Saints podcast has reached 2 million views. That's right, 2 million. 2 million people have viewed the State of the Saints podcast over the course of time. And, just starting out, recording and then putting, the things that I recorded to slideshows. And now we're doing live streams and talking to some of the most respected people in sports. I mean, the State of the Saints have come a long way. Some of you have started the journey with me. Some of you have been picked up along the way. So no matter where you fit in, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all so much for taking the time out to just listen to a guy from the Ninth Ward in New Orleans. All right. So thank y'all so much. But let's go ahead and get into what we need to be talking about. This is Saints Prediction Show. We're going to be talking a little bit about the injury report, of course. Pausing the Debo, missing practice. And also we got to get into Tom Brady, man, and how some of the things that he's going through could possibly affect him in this game. But first, we got to talk a little bit about the injury report. I think that for the last couple of weeks, we knew that cornerback Paulson Adebo was on the injury list. And I think we just kind of brushed it to the side because, he did an interview in the locker room after practice and they were saying that he had an ankle injury and he said, I'll be fine. And he kind of brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal. But that happened maybe almost a month ago when that took place. If you think about it, and also the Saints just played a game. It's almost been a month since Paulson Adebo actually played, because you got to keep in mind he only played in one preseason game. He didn't play in the second game, and he didn't play in the third game either, and he didn't play in the game in week 1. So you're looking at about a month that Paulson Adebo has not been out there, and now going into the week of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game in week 2, he still hasn't practiced. He still hasn't been out there. It has to be a level of concern. Now, we understand that the New Orleans Saints, they don't disclose injuries, and sometimes they minimize the magnitude of the injury of the players. I guess, to keep us, fans not, being too concerned, or the members of the media going out here just telling everybody in order for them to get some level of credibility for it. I don't know. But what I know is he's going to be missing 2 games, okay? I don't think he's practiced today, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't practice yesterday. And, if it walks like a duck, flaps like a duck, sounds like a duck, it definitely ain't no gorilla. You know what I'm saying? It's a duck. And it's obvious that there's something more seriously wrong with this guy's ankle. Now, you can look at this 2 ways. You can look at this like the Saints aren't opening up Pandora's box and letting us know what's going on, or they feel like they would preserve a guy like Paulson Adebo because he's so talented and you're going to need him down the stretch. Guys like Alvin Kamara, I said this on the show, 103.7 The Game this morning. Shouts out to RP3, Raymond Parks III, out there on 103.7 The Game. I said that if you have any I'm talking about any thoughts in the back of your mind that, man, maybe we shouldn't have this guy out here. I'm talking Alvin Kamara. You don't play him. I know that it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I know it's a division game, and I know we as fans, we want to beat up on Tampa Bay because we're tired of hearing about Tom Brady, and we're tired of hearing about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we're tired of the mainstream media giving them the benefit of the doubt, no matter how many times the Saints slap them around, humiliate them on national television. We're tired of it. So we want these guys to shut up about these guys. But if that means, bringing Alvin Kamara out there dealing with a rib injury and it can possibly end up being something more serious, then I wouldn't risk that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to beat Tampa in week 2 that bad. Okay. So if he can't play, or you feel like you have some resolution, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know about that, man. I don't think I need to have him out here. Then you put him on the side. So this situation with Paulson Adebo, yes, it is concerning because Paulson Adebo is an integral part to the success of the New Orleans Saints. We seen Bradley Roby play last week, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good to look. It wasn't good to look at. It wasn't, man. He was out there getting roasted and toasted left and right, and they were picking on him because if you had a choice going up against Marshawn Lattimore or throwing the ball towards Bradley Roby way, who do you think is going to, who you think they're going to throw to? They're going to throw to Bradley Roby. So hopefully we can get Paulson Adebo back, but this is early in the season, and Paulson Adebo is going to be a guy that you're going to need down the stretch. We know that he has great length, he has great size, he has great speed, so you want to have him out there. But don't tell me that there's nothing more seriously wrong with this guy's ankle than you're letting off. Okay, I don't think it's a high ankle sprain. If it was, then I think they would have came out and said it. But I think that it's much more serious than what they're letting on, and I think that it is cause for a level of concern, but not so much concern to a point where we feel like everything is doomed because it's so early in the season, and I'm pretty sure he'll be back in no time. But in the meantime, I expect for the Saints defense to have a better out than I seen last week. Now, some of that you can chunk up to the fact that they didn't know what the Atlanta Falcons were doing. Offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael spoke to the media, and he talked a little bit about that. He talked about making the necessary adjustments. You have to be able to make the necessary adjustments in real time, right? Because The Atlanta Falcons weren't the old Atlanta Falcons, right? I joke about them. Y'all seen the reels, y'all seen the highlights. Of course, we all got our labs. Is on the Cincinnati, right? But you have to admit that they are a different offense, right? You have the dynamic of Marcus Mariota running around, his ability to take off, being able to do some things in the RPO game. So you had to be able to adjust. And that's what the Saints did. They were able to buckle down defensively, causing these guys not to be able to score a touchdown in the fourth quarter. And they were able to facilitate a comeback, right? So you have to be able to adjust. It's a little bit different going into a game versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensively and the things that they did versus the Cowboys were a little bit different. But this is what I would say too. Watching that game, and I watched it last night for the first time. Watching that game, you can say the same thing about the Dallas Cowboys you say about the New Orleans Saints. And let me elaborate, okay? Because I know some people say you're comparing us to the Dallas Cowboys. Hell no, okay? I'm saying the Dallas Cowboys probably went into the game probably expecting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to throw the ball all over the place, right? The no risk and no biscuit moniker, right? Because you still have Byron Leftwich, even though Bruce Arians is gone. He still was the one that was calling the shots, and he still was the one that was, trying to make things comfortable for Tom Brady and offense or what have you. So I'm pretty sure the Dallas Cowboys expected Tom Brady and Tampa Bay Buccaneers to throw the ball all over the place. But what happened was they weren't ready for Leonard Fournette coming out there and running the ball and going over 100 yards. And I think it was the same way with the New Orleans Saints. They didn't know what to expect going into Atlanta, and they were able to make those adjustments. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, they couldn't make those adjustments. The Saints, fortunately enough, could. So now that you have what you saw last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and throwing the ball, and also you combine that with the ability of Leonard Fournette, what you've seen in that game week 1, you're able to compile those things together in order for you to come up with a formidable game plan to be able to knock off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also, I looked at a lot of prognosticators out there, and a lot of them are picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win. And I just think that this is one of those situations where, if you keep on picking something over and over again, or you keep on saying something, eventually it's going to come true. And I guess that's what they're banking on. And they're banking on the fact that Tom Brady is Tom Brady, and Tom Brady is a guy that's, he has a chip on his shoulder all the time, and he came back to beat the Saints and all that kind of stuff there. And I know Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans, if you're watching this, you're probably rolling your eyes. But look, you have to be real with yourself. If you're the greatest at your job, if you're the greatest at a sport, if you're the greatest mom or you're the greatest dad, you know what I'm saying? And your kids telling you this and all this, right? Eventually, you're going to have to find ways to adjust. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, they think I'm a good dad because I'm doing this and doing that, right? So I'm gonna do a little bit of this. Like you find yourself trying to find different ways to elevate the expectations, right? And when you think about Tom Brady, this guy's won 7 Super Bowls, right? I know that Tampa wants to believe that his sole focus is for him to come back to play for a Super Bowl. And yes, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? To win a Super Bowl. But when you won so much and you're admired by so many, and your place in the realms of history irrefutable, right? You have to find different ways in order for you to stay motivated. And I just think that by him being embarrassed by the New Orleans Saints on 4 different occasions. I mean, the Saints have 2 pick sixes against him. He hasn't scored a touchdown in Raymond James Stadium since he's been a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. So that's an embarrassment, right? So I think that he is highly motivated. And some people might laugh when I say this, but I think in a way, beating the Saints is his Super Bowl. Seriously, like I think he wants to go to the Super Bowl, but I think that to him at this particular point and everything he's accomplished, he's looking at this like a Super Bowl opportunity. And no, you know what I'm saying? You ain't about to bring no trophies home, and no, you ain't about to win no MVPs. But when you are so respected as an athlete, as a player, and people are calling you the GOAT, right? You want to be able to knock the team off that has been a thorn in your side since you put on a new uniform. So I think that plays a huge role. But the New Orleans Saints defensively, they got to be able to get pressure on Tom Brady. That's key. I said this before, and I'm going to continue to say it again, and I may sound like a broken record, especially this entire week. But if the New Orleans Saints cannot get pressure, if they cannot get into the backfield of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the injuries, you got Trifton Wirfs. He's dealing with an abdomen injury. You got Smith, you know what I'm saying? He's dealing with an injury. We don't even know if he's going to play. You got some rookies on the offensive line that are inexperienced. So if you're not getting pressure or getting Brady off his spot or get some hurries, I'm going to be extremely concerned about the defensive line. And I am going to come on the State of the Saints podcast and say that. And I'm going to feel as if maybe they need to look at this defensive line and maybe bring somebody in to be able to kind of, add some depth and add some skill there, because I'm not really upset or really just panicking right now because of Marcus Mariota's running ability. And I just think that you have to approach a running quarterback a different way than a guy who is known as a stationary target. Also, stopping the run. All right. We know that the Saints are really good at stopping the run over the last couple of years. So being able to neutralize Leonard Fournette may be something that they need to pay attention to. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a big fan of Leonard Fournette, and I know some people might get mad at me because he went to LSU and all those type of things. But I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really big on Leonard Fournette. I'm not really impressed by Leonard Fournette. I think Leonard Fournette is lazy. I think that he's not motivated like most running backs that want to be great are motivated. And I think that this stems back from not just him being in the NFL, but I'm talking about at LSU. Like, there were games where, he'll go off against a team like Ole Miss, but Ole Miss, we know they like middle of the pack, bottom of the barrel when it comes to the SEC. He'll go off on an Auburn. At the time, they were struggling, and they were trying to figure it out. But when it was time to play teams like Alabama, right? I mean, they completely shut him down. And it was runs where he just felt like it seemed like he was just disinterested. From the point where I feel like he sat out, from the point where I just felt like when he was in Jacksonville, there were games I felt like he phoned it in. And I watched him quite a bit because, of course, I mean, he's a hometown guy. So, of course, I'm going to support him. But I just think that he's lazy. And he doesn't have, to me, that Adrian Peterson, that even Saquon Barkley. Like, I think Saquon Barkley has it. I think he's just been dealing with like issues with his health, right? With the injuries. But there's something that's inside of every player, every great player, that no matter if you're playing Jacksonville or you're playing Tampa or you're playing any top tier team, the Rams, you're going to bring it. And I think that separates the good from the great. I think that Leonard Fournette is good, but I just think that Leonard Fournette is one of those players that get into the NFL and say, I made it, and I'm just going to try to do what I can to try to make it. I don't care about, being great. I don't care, what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to put the necessary work in or go the extra mile in order to be great. I'm going to just do enough to maintain my position, maybe get a couple paydays. And if I'm in the middle of the pack when it comes to running back history, I'm at the front. I don't care. Like, that's the way I feel about him. But I do think that he's lazy. And I just think that he's not going to bring it every single game. There are going to be some games where he does bring it, and he's going to look like he's the best running back in football. And then there are going to be other games where you just forget that he exists. The fact that Leonard Fournette, after all the fanfare, after all the press, after everything that he has gained. Like, y'all know, if you follow Leonard Fournette, I mean, he was the number one player coming out of high school at St. Aug. Everybody was wondering where he was going to go. He goes to LSU. I mean, everybody was excited about what he was going to do. And then all of a sudden, like, now if you look at him, you don't even mention Leonard Fournette when you talk about top running backs in the league. And based on like how he came into the league and all the fanfare that he had, it's a shame that he's not in that conversation. Like you're being compared to Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson been a beast everywhere he went. If you watched him at the University of Oklahoma, if you watched him in Minnesota, like he was the same dude. And honestly, in the NFL, he became even better than he was at Oklahoma. So that's what I feel. So I think that Saints can be able to neutralize him to a point where, if he feel like it's not his day, he's going to become disinterested. It's just certain things that great players have, and there's certain things that good players have. But as far as the offensive line of the New Orleans Saints, they have got to be able to protect Jameis Winston. If you're concerned and you're getting pressure, if you're allowing Grady Jarrett and a mediocre the defensive front of Atlanta Falcons getting pressure on your quarterback, you know that guys like Shaq Barrett, Via Vea, and Akeem Hicks, these guys can get pressure on Jameis Winston. So they're going to have to be able to protect him. They're going to have to be able to protect him, and they got to put up a better job because these guys watch the tape, right? I keep on saying tape. They watch the stream, all right? I'm trying not to say tape because there is no tape. Ain't nobody watching VHS tapes. They watch the digitized footage of Grady Jarrett and the defensive line of the Atlanta Falcons having their way with you. And trust and believe Ty Bowles, who I feel like is one of the best defensive minds in all of the game. And I understand he's not the defensive coordinator anymore. He's the head coach. But just like Dennis Allen, that's your baby. So I don't expect for you to let that go. I think that Dennis Allen is playing a huge role in how the Saints play defense. Probably not as much because he has to control everything else, but he has a hand in it, just like I feel Ty Bowles does as well. And he's watched that game. And trust and believe, we know that Ty Bowles has a way to get your quarterback off a spot by coming up with these exotic blitzes. There were times where Dean Pease was given like these calls, and there was nobody even blocking the guy. I mean, the guys was like coming free. So I'm calling out guys like Cesar Ruiz. I'm calling out guys like Andrews Pete. I'm calling out guys like James Hurst. Look, some of these guys are just going to be who they are. Like you look at a guy like Andrews Pete, he's in his 8th season, right? He's been here 8 years. For 8 years, he's been with the New Orleans Saints. So as far as I'm concerned, if you expect for Andrews Pete to become Quentin Nelson or, Jari Evans or something like that, like you wasting your time. All right. Cesar Ruiz is starting to become that. All right. Everybody talk about, he came into the league during the pandemic. Okay. Then 2021, that was his real rookie season. Okay. But now we're seeing the same things over and over again. And I'm not trying to knock this dude because I think Cesar Ruiz, like, honestly, if you follow the dude, he's a really good guy. This has absolutely nothing to do with his personality. He's a team guy. Every time somebody having something like a party, a bar mitzvah, hanging out, you see C's up in that thing. So that tells me right there he's a team guy. I'm not saying anything about him as a person, but as a player, he has got to do better. This isn't a 5th round pick. This isn't a 6th round pick. You were a 1st round draft pick. You're a 1st round draft pick coming out of Michigan. So that means that you had 1st round talent. Teams believe that among the offensive linemen, you were the best. And for you to go out there, be slipping and sliding and allowing people just to push you around like you just a sheet of paper, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And this is the year. This is the year that is do or die for Cesar Ruiz. And I'll go even deeper than that. If Cesar Ruiz doesn't put forth a better performance, then maybe you need to see what you have on the offensive line, and maybe you need to have those guys compete and see who the better man actually is. Because if Cesar Ruiz, who is getting manhandled, pushed around, slipping on the ground, if he is the best guard on this team, then I'm concerned. If somebody else that is behind him on the depth chart can't put forth a better performance offensive-wise on the offensive line, I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. So I'm going to continue to give Cesar Ruiz an opportunity, as an onlooker. There was some things I'm not going to say that everything he did was terrible, but it was extremely noticeable when he did do certain things that he shouldn't have been doing. right? I mean, he had a couple blocks that sprung a couple yards. He did some good things. Even Andrews Pete, like that big run by Taysom Hill, man. Cesar Ruiz, Andrews Pete is extremely athletic. He's athletic. Like when they snapped the ball for this jet sweep, you should have seen it. Go back and watch that and watch Andrews Pete move from the left to the right. I mean, for him to go out there and be that lead blocker, and he just basically destroyed AJ Terrell. So I'm just going to say on the offensive line, you got to be able to do better. Secondary, I expect for them to take a little bit of step forward. They were able to generate some turnovers, and that's a good thing because if you're generating turnovers at the same time trying to figure things out, right? You're not where you need to be defensively because these guys have not been together long enough. So some of those turnovers, they accounted for the lack of communication, the mistakes, because even the fumble by Pete Werner, Zacchaeus, he got that ball in stride. So that was just a really good play by Pete Werner. So that play definitely would have been a first down and more. So, and the fact that they actually forced the fumble on Marcus Mariota at the goal line, the fact that they were at the goal line, the defense was allowing Atlanta to move. So I expect for them to take strides forward. I don't expect for them to be the lights out defense. I expect them to be maybe mid-season when everybody understands everybody and everybody together watch the digitized film. I expect for them to be on the same page. But till now, I find them trying to figure things out together. So as long as they can go out there and make some plays, as long as they can go out there, maybe bending and not breaking and getting a little bit of pressure on Tom Brady, I expect for the Saints to win this game. I know some people think that the New Orleans Saints, and look, I'm not about to jump out of the window when I say this, but if the Saints were formidable with Taysom Hill, if the Saints were formidable, y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all know where I'm going with this, with Trevor Siemian, what makes you believe that the Saints won't be formidable with a guy like Jameis Winston, who is better at the quarterback position than both of those individuals that I named? The fact that a lot of times I just think that Tampa was able to stay in games because there were a lot of short intermediate routes and they were sitting on these routes. What do you do when you have a quarterback that can throw the ball over your head? What happens then? Now, you can talk about the battle between Carlton Davis and Michael Thomas, which, that seemed like they're going to be fireworks, especially some of the things I've seen coming out of Tampa with Carlton Davis. But what do you do? Like, okay, you can have him over on the side, but if you're expecting for him just to be, take away the quick slant, if we take away the quick slant, then we're going to be all right. But what happens when, a guy like Jameis can throw the ball over a guy like Dean's head, a Murphy Bunting's head or somebody like that? If I was the New Orleans Saints, and I said this on the NFC South versus NFL podcast a couple days ago, shouts out to Mike and shouts out to DJ. But I said this, if I were the Saints, my first offensive play would be a deep pass down the field. Because even if it's incomplete, even if Shaq Barrett gets in the backfield and gets Jameis off his spot and he throws it away, you still have to account for the fact that, man, they can throw this ball deep. I think that you need to put that inside of their minds to let them know that in years past, I know y'all was looking at Drew Brees and being able to sit on routes and tackling this guy and buckling down when you get past midfield. But now you have a guy that can throw the ball over your heads and be able to stretch this field. So that's what I would do, in my honest opinion. So I think that is something maybe the Saints need to work at. But as far as the game, I think it's going to be a close game. I don't expect for the Saints to blow them out. But I do think that the Saints are going to get separation late in this game. I think it's going to be close early. I got the Saints winning this game 31-16. I think that the points are going to come late on, like, the fourth quarter or something like that. When, Tampa trying to open it up, I think that's when you're going to start to see separation. But I think the score is going to look funny, but I just think that it's going to be a game that's closer than what it seemed. Like like a side view mirror. It looked closer than what it appears. All right. But that's my score, 31-16. Tim, thank you very much for the $5. Says so. TJ, I was watching the tape of the game one, and we didn't blitz once. That's not going to happen game two. Yeah, I mean, there's no need to blitz, to be honest with you. I just think the Saints match up well versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and honestly, I'm hoping that they don't blitz, because you have to take into account the Leonard Fournette and his ability to run and how they're trying to have a balanced attack here in 2022. Lee, thank you very much. Says first take and first thing first, already making excuses for Tom, saying he's stressed and has no wide receiver. Look, everybody's stressed. All right. I mean, everybody dealing with the stresses of being in the National Football League. And, I completely understand some of the things that are going on with Tom Brady personally. I do. We'll probably get into that just a little bit later, Lee. I want to read some more comments before I get into it, but that's a good point. And thank you very much for the $4.99, because I kind of want to talk about that in detail, and I also have a clip that I want to play that coincides with the Tom Brady stress situation. I'm going to stroll back up a little bit. To be kind, says Buck fans, Bucks equals 0. Remember, also, we beat y'all over and over and over. Seems like more Bucks fans here than the other day when TJ was on a Bucks podcast. Well, look, I appreciate them being here, and I have absolutely no problem with them repping their team, as long as it's respectful and they don't involve profanity. And Saints fans and moderators, what I'm saying, I expect for everybody to do to be on their job. Y'all know how we roll here. We talk noise when we see other fans, but we can conduct ourselves in a respectful manner, right? We don't have to be sitting out here going, with low blows or anything like that, any profanity. We can express ourselves and our fandom in a respectful way. At the same time, rep your team loud and proud. But I'm glad that they're here, man. Shouts out to them. I always welcome fans of other teams, and I don't expect for them to come up in here and be singing the praises of the Saints. That's the reason why they're a fan of another team. NFC South versus NFL says, appreciate the love. Yeah, man, shouts out to those guys over there in NFC South versus NFL doing outstanding work over there. Had a good time, man. Really enjoyed myself over there breaking down this game with them, and plan on being back. NFC South versus NFL enjoyed you Wednesday night with TJ Jones and Thursday night with the Who That Nation chat line. Yeah, man, DJ been out there grinding, man. He out there, he knows his stuff, man. He knows his stuff, and so does Mike. You might be right, bro. Let's see. I understand your perspective on Fournette. I want to assume that you ran out of characters, but that's clever as I don't know what right there. I understand your perspective on Fournette, but you got to take into account the LSU O-line couldn't hold up, and they had no pass offense when he was at LSU. Look, I definitely understand what you're saying, but here's the thing. They didn't have an O-line when they were playing Ole Miss. They didn't have an O-line when they were playing Auburn. You got to keep that same energy, bro. And and I just feel like this. When you're great, like I'm talking about in college football, when you're great, I feel like no matter what the situation is, you're able to really kind of overcome that. Like you think about, like, I'm trying to think about like some of these guys, like Adrian Peterson to me was great, because no matter if OU had O-line, he was able to like make some things happen. He was running over guys getting a backfield, he shredding them off. I just feel like there are certain things that great players do, especially in college, because man, come on. 256 guys get drafted in the National Football League every single year. The guy that you probably going up against, a linebacker, is probably going to end up not being in the NFL. Probably going to be working at Planet Fitness or LA Fitness somewhere. So, and to me, if you're that guy, if you're him Hardaway, if you're Timothy Jones, right? I just feel like you need to be different. You need to be built different. It should be obvious that you're a man among boys. You think about Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow versus the Oklahoma Sooners. He destroyed them dudes. He destroyed them. He absolutely, like, he systematically destroyed them dudes. Against Clemson, he was out there working them. Clemson, one of the best teams in the country at the time. They had a bunch of talent out there. You know, they had Justin Ross. They had T. Higgins. They had AJ Terrell at the time. I don't know if they had Hunter Renfrow. I think he may have been gone. I think he was gone. But you still had Trevor Lawrence. You had ETN. You had all that talent, but it didn't matter. At the end of the day, we all knew that Joe Burrow was the best on the field. And when Leonard Fournette, after all the fanfare, after all the press, after all, like, this dude had St. Aug on ESPN, right? ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN Classic, whatever ESPN you subscribe to, he was on it. Bruh, I'm sorry. I cannot give him he didn't have no offensive line treatment. No, bruh. I can't do that. Because, like I said, he was wrecking shop against teams like Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. But what happened? Like, come on, man. You telling me that he can't get at least 70 yards against Alabama? At least? And you supposed to be the best running back in the country? Like, nah, bro. Like, man, go back and watch that game. I'm a real big stickler. And I'm sorry if I know people how they feel about LSU, but look, man, I keep it real over here. I don't care if you went to LSU and Tulane. Hell, you went to Jackson State. I don't care. You got to call it for what it is. I'm a real big onlooker when it comes to body language, the way that you look on the field, the way you look on the sidelines. That stuff matters. That stuff matters, man. So to me, I don't see greatness. I don't see dog. I don't. I see it at times. And that's what's the most frustrating thing about it. And that's one of the things I feel like should be, irrefutable. The fact that he has dog in him. How many times have we seen this dude run somebody over? Y'all remember that classic run that he had versus the Pittsburgh Steelers when he was actually telling the cornerback, like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what you got. Like, he was ready to collide into him. So if you got that type of dog in you and you turn it on and off like a light switch, like, come on, man. I gotta hold you to a different, I gotta hold you to a different category and hold you to a different, like, standard than I would some of these other guys. Like, if you got some average running backs out here and they not giving you they all, that's just who they are. That's just who they are, man. But I don't know. The fact that he has that dog in him and it doesn't show up consistently like that, that's a cause to pause for me. I don't know about y'all, but I expect Tom Brady to get flustered and frustrated. Jameis knows these guys. Saints winning 35-17. Flush him out. MIA on me Sunday evening. Nah, I ain't going MIA. Win, lose, or draw. I don't roll like that. We ain't the Atlanta Falcon fans over here. We ain't gonna be like, man, we want you to come on back. And don't hear from you, we ain't trying to do that. I expect Cam Jordan to chase after time like he needs to come up off his lunch money. Let's see. Still waiting to come on your show. I thought you said you were gonna invite me on your show. I didn't get that. But hey. Let's see. National media dismissing Saints offense altogether like they don't get on the field. I hope Jameis hang 45 on them boys. Like, remember the Titans, run it up, leave no doubt. I'm still curious as to why they stopped using Hill in the first half. That's a good point. Of the Atlanta game, passing game wasn't clicking, and they stopped using Hill after the touchdown. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. Cam Jordan and Davenport are going to take advantage of them missed matchups. I hope so. I can't say that with that much confidence because I've seen this movie before. I've seen where teams have replacement offensive linemen and the Saints, didn't get any type of penetration at all. I would believe that they would be able to get some pressure, but I need to see it. I expect Tom to throw his rambler at the coach. I say Saints win 28-13. Tom Brady is slow as hell. He run like an old woman with a purse. Wonder what will be the narrative if we get another win Sunday. Oh, they'll get them in the playoffs. That would be the narrative. You doing a great job, TJ. Keep it up. Thank you, DJ. King Arthur said, TJ, I don't want to bring down the vibe of the show in any capacity, but I did just lose my grandmother this morning, the woman who raised me. So forgive me if I'm not too active in the chat. My apologies. Well, King Arthur, man, man, I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that, man. You know, and I wish, you know, I wish you and your family, man, you know, saying to, man, that is, I wish your family didn't have to go through this. Man, that's tough. That's tough. But we praying for you, man. Man, you already know, all of us, you know, we, you know what I'm saying, we support you, you know what I'm saying, you've been here since the beginning. And I know, you know, I know at times, you know, we go through these trials and we go through these tribulations. We do, man, but they don't feel like it at the time, but they're there to make us stronger. They're there to make us stronger. They're there to teach us perseverance and strength. And my advice to you would be to surround yourself with those that love you, like your wife and, you know what I'm saying, your kids and your family. You know, like surround yourself and I understand, you know, that when you lose somebody, you miss their presence, but you know, no matter what they're going through, I mean, you know that they ain't got no more pain anymore. You know what I'm saying? No more pain, no more, you know what I'm saying? No more aches or anything like that. And you carry those memories with you. You carry them with you everywhere that you go. That way that person will never leave you. So my condolences to you and your family, and I hope that you all find strength in this tough time, man. I expect Tom Brady to throw his tablet at his coach. Man, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I looked at the way that they actually played. The way that they played last week was a little different. So maybe they would approach this game, you know, a little differently as well. Both teams is hurt. They missing some of their men. We missing some of the album men. Let the best team win. Go Saints. Who that baby? Mario says Brady so old. His first job was busting tables at the Last Supper. I got a dad joke right there. Sorry to hear that, King. Yeah, man, we sorry to hear that. That is, you know, we praying for your family and praying for the strength, man. I expect the Superdome to be extra loud when Brady is on the field. Yeah, me too. You think Sean called Pete to go over offensive plays for the week? Just asking. No, I don't. I don't believe that. I believe that Sean Payton is away from the team. I think that Sean Payton's phone is, you know what I'm saying, is always available. I'm pretty sure he'd pick up the phone if Pete would call, but I don't think that Sean Payton is doing anything with the New Orleans Saints. I still want Ram at left tackle, and if Ruiz continues to struggle, I say put Penning at guard and Hurst at right tackle, maybe Penning at right tackle. Then we will be dominant on both sides for run, not just the right. Well, here's the thing. No cap, no filter. Yeah, that's a great strategic move. But you also have defensive linemen who are good at pass rushing. They can easily just go ahead and shift to Trevor Penning's side. Like, how many times have we seen Cam Jordan work the left and the right, right? When he go up against a tackle where he feel like he has a favorable matchup. So just because you move Ryan Ramczyk to the left, don't be that you still won't have issues on the offensive line. I mean, I can understand what you're saying because, you know, Ryan Ramczyk played left tackle in college. He plays right. He didn't have to play left when he came to the Saints because the Saints had Teron Armstead. But I get it. But I still think you'll still have issues no matter what because teams, they do their due diligence too. TJ, if you keep spitting this level of hot fire, we'll have to call you Himothy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's because I am. You know what I'm saying? For those that don't know, my government name is Timothy, you know, so Yeah, well, I said call me Timothy Jones. You know. But anyway, yeah, like when I think about, I guess we got to the point we're talking about Leonard Fournette. You supposed to be him. I expect better. God honest prediction: Saints 63, Bucks 10. I can't, Josh. I can't give you a hell to the no because I've seen stranger things happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's worth a hell to the knob, but we've seen the Saints blow out. We've seen the Saints blow out Tampa in the past. I mean, Goose egged them last year, so I don't know. Hoping Davenport and Turner can get their hands on Fournette. I think they will. Andrews Pete better than your favorite left guard. That's a good man. I know it's hard for us to like look at Andrews Pete as being a good guard because some of the things that we see. But I have to say, man, in comparison to some of the guards that they have in the league, he's up there. He's up there. I mean, you ain't no Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson is a beast. Quentin Nelson gonna end up being in the Hall of Fame one day if he stay healthy. But serviceable, yes. And there's a reason why he continued to get paid by the New Orleans Saints. I mean, he's like, I know people may not want to hear this, but he's a really good run blocker, like really good, like up there. Pass protection is a little bit of a different story. I feel your perspective of greatness. If you are him, yeah, expectations are great, but Alabama had 3 teams of him. Yeah, but man, at the same time, man, was this the same year? I'm not sure, but wasn't this the same year that Ezekiel Elliott ran all over the Alabama defense when they got to the college football playoffs? I don't know, man. Maybe that was the year. And I think maybe it was because I want to say both they came in. No, they didn't come into the league at the same time, did they? Did they come into the league in the same year? Did they both come in in 2017? 2016. I think they may have both came in 2016. I'm not sure, but I don't know. Like I look at other guys and how they playing, and I've seen guys that didn't have near the talent that Leonard Fournette had as a running back, and they were able to do some things with Alabama. So I can't accept that. I ain't making no excuses. Like if you that dude, if you that beast, if you supposed to be a man among boys, a big fish in a little pond, nah, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, if everybody's telling me you the number one guy, I need to see some number one things, and not just against teams that you know that you're superior to. TJ, who is the best college team of all time? The best college team of all time, to me, was the 2000 and in my lifetime, the 2005 USC Trojans. In my lifetime, now that 2006 national championship game, I think those are probably 2 of the greatest rosters I ever seen. Like you had a bunch of talent, like you had a bunch of guys that went to the NFL. Now, I also can throw in that 2001, 2002 Miami Hurricanes team when they had like 12 first round picks. It was like something crazy like that. Like I can throw that in too. But yeah, I know some people probably expect for me to say what the 2019, 2020 LSU Tigers, but nah. I've seen better teams than that. Offensive efficiency, probably ain't gonna see nothing like that. But I've seen better teams assembled than that team. They were good, but I've seen better. TJ, my boy, that's what I'm saying. We almost made the playoffs last year in 3rd caliber string quarterback. So why would they think that Jameis, we won't have a good chance to make the playoffs this year? Because they're using the narrative of Sean Payton not being here. And, Jameis Winston is a turnover machine, which I wrote an article, man. I'm asking everybody to check it out. It's on a Who Dat Dish. And it's about Jameis Winston not getting the respect from mainstream media and basically putting him in this box that he cannot seem to be able to break out of. Yeah, man. I wrote that article a couple of days ago, and I'm asking everybody to check it out. Tell me what you think. is on whothatdish.com. I expect Tom Brady to be in a let's see in a frail position after Cam gets to him. Well, we'll see. What Falcon podcast you was on, TJ? I didn't see. It's called the Atlanta Falcon Nation podcast. Atlanta Falcon Nation podcast. You go ahead and check it out. Lee says, what role you think Honey Badger will play? JJ makes me nervous, just a little bit. I'm not worried about Mike. Talking about Jawan Johnson. If we talking about Jawan Johnson, now he don't make me nervous. I think that you're probably gonna have Tyrann Mathieu doing a little bit of what they had CJ Gardner-Johnson doing. You know, I mean, I thought that Tyrann Mathieu played pretty good, considered that, you know, this was his first game, and him and Marcus May, you know, this is the first game that they actually played as safeties for the Saints. I think he did pretty good, but I think you're gonna see him like more of a CJ Gardner-Johnson role, probably guarding, you know, the tight ends. And also, I expect Marcus May to be able to help out and run support, which I feel like that's his calling card. And I'm also expecting Justin Evans to have a good game as well. I heard Brady gonna retire after this heartbreaking loss. Well, I think that Tom Brady have bigger fish to fry, which leads me to a point that I think we need to talk about. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard it by now, but of course, I forgot about this. I gotta acknowledge this. The sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast, which is DraftKings.com. All right, we're going to talk about Tom Brady in a second, but DraftKings.com, thank you so much for being an official sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. It says the NFL's opening week was action-packed, and it's just getting started. Get ready for week 2 of touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This week, new customers can just bet $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. It's simple. This Sunday, bet on any NFL team to win. If your team leads by 10 at any time during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code State of Saints or SOTS to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. Once again, the code is SOTS, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And if you know anybody that's dealing with a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER, which is 1-800-426-2537. All right. And this is also available in Louisiana. And you have to be 21 years of older to be able to participate in the DraftKings Sportsbook, I guess, sweepstakes or activity. So back to the comments. All right. Thank you, DraftKings. Really do appreciate that. But speaking of which, I got to acknowledge this. About Tom Brady. I'm pretty sure all of you know and probably heard that Tom Brady, according to sources, him and his wife Giselle are living separately. And it came because what they're saying is Giselle gave Tom Brady the ultimatum, okay? In other words, the ultimatum, all right? Basically asked him to choose, because from what was said, that Tom Brady's decision to come back after he retired for 40 days and 40 nights, he thought about on his own. And of course, that was the reason why he took some time off from the team, because I guess at that time he was trying to spend some time with his family and possibly trying to save his marriage. But I'm not going to call myself Nostradamus, but about a month ago, when this whole thing happened, I was talking on the State of the Saints podcast, and I did mention this. I agree, TJ, about Brady. What else you got to prove? What the 8th Super Bowl ring gonna do? That's the 7th didn't do. Just retire while you can make that choice. But hey, I get it. No, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get I don't get it at all. I don't understand what you're playing for. And I'm pretty sure that's probably how his wife feel or how his family feel. Like, what are you playing for? Like, what can you possibly be regretting? This is kind of selfish. Seriously, like, what are you actually playing for? But if his family is upset, I can understand why they upset. Like, what are you playing for? Like you already the legend. Everybody consider you the GOAT. Like, what are you playing for still? Like, why are you missing my recitals? Why are you missing my soccer games? Why are you missing my football games? Right? You're a legend. There's nothing more Tom Brady can possibly do to cement his legacy. Like, if they would make an exception to the Hall of Fame rule for this dude. Like, if he was to retire, they'll make a rule for him to be in the next year. How credible his career was, or is rather. So I'm like, what are you playing for? Like the roar of the crowd, the cheer of the people. Maybe, like you sat around and you realize that people weren't really talking about you and the game moves on. Like, no matter how great you are, and you notice like you was being talked about, and then all of a sudden nobody's really saying anything about you anymore. So that made you come back? I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. If his family is upset by this, I can completely understand this, because you have to be asking at this point, what are you playing for? I mean, I hate to say that I told you so, but I mean, look, I knew what it was. I guess I knew it. Like, the fact that this guy's been playing for so long and has accomplished so much, you have to believe that his wife is just like kind of over it. And I understand, and you have to, like, I know they got some Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans in the chat, and I know that y'all are loving this wave that y'all riding, right? Being able to watch like mainstream sports shows and see your team being talked about. Trust me, I understand what you mean, because being an alumni of Jackson State University and watching my university being talked about on mainstream sports shows, it's pretty, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty, like, you're pretty much in awe. But you have to look at it from a human perspective as well. All my married guys out there, all my married women out there, we all know that in order for you to maintain a marriage, you got to be able to, communicate, and you got to spend time, and you got to be able to, make this thing work. And this lady's been extremely patient since the time they've been married. And now, you went from having small kids to now looking at Tom Brady's kids, man, they're like teenagers. And you done won everything, and you done proved everything. You done proved that you can win in New England. You done proved that you can win outside of New England. You can prove that you can be able to facilitate comebacks. You got all the records. So she's probably wondering what are you playing for? So I cannot say that I blame her for being upset at him. Just like I can't blame him, for not wanting to walk away from something that you love. It's hard to do that. It's hard to walk away from something that you love to do. That's why you be seeing all these older cats that be at these jobs, and you looking at them because you want him to leave so you can have his job, or you trying to wait for her to leave, so you can have his job. Or, ladies, you probably doing the same thing, at your job, right? It just happens. I get it. But when you have that passion and that love for something, it's hard to walk away from that. But there are some things in life that may be a little bit more important than that, especially when you have fulfilled everything that you can possibly do. Right now, you're just playing football. And I understand that you have mainstream media members that may be excited because you got Tom Brady again. But from a marriage standpoint, I can completely understand his wife. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying this because he plays for the Bucs. If he played for the Saints, I would be saying the same thing. I promise you. This tough, man. This tough, but you got to make that tough. You got to make that decision. And that decision is, man, what can you do without? And unfortunately, it seems like Giselle kind of put his foot to the fire for an answer. Lee says, TJ, serious question. Have you thought about making it where we can talk to you on a podcast as like a Discord server or something? I open up phone lines. I haven't done it in a while because I've been having like issues like with the audio and been having like echo. And you're probably wondering why I haven't been doing this for some people, but there's a piece that I'm actually waiting for that's supposed to be coming, should be coming honestly today. But it's a piece that I have to put onto my my mixer here, and it kind of takes away this this echo. Because if I was to open up the phone lines right now, it would be like a weird echo, kind of similar to if you ever seen me at the radio station. I think a couple weeks ago, I did an interview with Jeff Nowak over there. And I was having like issues with that. So I'm waiting on that. That's the reason I haven't opened up the phone lines lately. Because at first I thought I would have to buy a whole new mixer, but I don't have to. It's just a part that I have to add to it, and also just kind of refresh it, and then I'll be back to it. But yeah, hopefully I will have the phone lines back up where you can actually call in. I'm glad because pretty sure a lot of people gonna want to talk about this game. And it's crazy because Halloween, I think the Halloween last year, I didn't do a show because I was passing out candy. So I mean, I'm excited about this game. I'm excited to hear from you about it. So hopefully, like when this part comes, we'll get back to it. But we got 289 people watching this right now. I ask that you hit the like button if you enjoy the content. I ask that you enjoy. I ask that you subscribe if you're new. I'm actually trying to look at these comments and talk at the same time. One thing I can say about the late, great Kobe Bryant, he had no problem retiring and turning his attention to his family. Like you, TJ, I truly wonder why Brady is still choosing fam over football. Look, I just think that he loves it. And I also think that it has a lot to do with the ego. When you're great, and everybody's singing your praises, and you can turn on television, and there's probably more positive things that are going to be said about you than negative, and you've achieved so much. And then all of a sudden you decide to retire and you walk away, and people are talking about you, and they dedicate a couple days to you. And then after that, they're talking about Patrick Mahomes, or they're talking about Josh Allen, or they're trying to big up the next face of the National Football League they feel is going to be here for the next 10 to 15 years. You kind of be taken back from it. Like, no matter how much you have done, it just continues to go on. Like, the league continues to move on. Though, I mean, we think about the greats, right, in our era. For me, growing up as a kid, Joe Montana was the GOAT. Jerry Rice was the GOAT, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, those were the GOATs right there. You had Bruce Smith when it came to defensive linemen. He was the GOAT. Ray Lewis, he was starting to like kind of, evolve and stuff like that. I'm talking about like when I was like, younger. But you had guys like, like the new steel curtain of the night with Cordell Lake and Kevin Green. And you know what I'm saying? Like guys like that. Those were the guys that, people were kind of bigging up. Tom Brady comes along, everybody's singing his praise, and all of a sudden, like, guys are going just like Joe Montana, just like Jerry Rice. Right. I was telling a story to my mom as I was driving to work the other day, and I was talking about Jerry Rice Hall of Fame speech. And I said that Jerry Rice wrote a part in his speech that he never really spent the time enjoying the game of football. He said coming from a college like Mississippi Valley State that was very small, and Bill Walsh, drafting him and trying to prove him right, trying to say, even though I came from this small school, I can fit in and be among the greats in this game. He said after the Super Bowl, even though he won 4, he would just always go back to work, and he never really enjoyed it. And there was a portion of his Hall of Fame speech where he said, just allow me to enjoy this moment. And he walked away from the podium, and he walked to the left of the stage and the right of the stage, and people would, clap their hands and their cheer for him. Because he said he never really experienced it because he was just trying to do so much. And I think it's the same thing maybe with Tom Brady. Tom Brady, a 6th-round draft pick. Nobody really expected him to do anything. All of a sudden, Drew Bledsoe goes down, and his career and his life has never been the same. And it's hard to walk away from that. But you have to have a level of content about yourself and say, I've done enough. There's nothing more I can do. And I just think that he needs to come to this point, and it's unfortunate that he hasn't come to this point. But he doesn't have anything he needs to prove, in my opinion. I mean, the only thing that can possibly happen, and it's getting bad, and I'm hoping that this don't happen. I don't care if he plays for a rival or not, but the only thing that can possibly happen, you end up getting hurt. Because I just think that that's the only thing that is going to stop him from walking away from this game at this point. That he get like hurt to a point where he can't play anymore. And why would you want to do that? Why would you want to, basically sacrifice everything when you can walk away from the game? You still got your mental health. You got millions of dollars, and you got a contract waiting for you with Fox. So it's not a money thing. Can't be a championship thing. So I'm just wondering, like, why? At the end of the day, you're going to have to ask yourself, was it worth it once football is done and you're sitting in a house alone? All you have is trophies. Good luck with them holding you when you're feeling sad. Well, look, I don't think that Tom Brady will have an issue finding a woman or somebody that actually care about him. I'm just saying, like, Tom Brady is a very successful, good-looking guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure, like, even though his wife is a supermodel, I'm pretty sure he won't have any issues in that regard. But at the same time, when somebody loves you, like when somebody loves, man, this coincides with sports. So I don't feel bad about saying it. But when somebody loves you and they're willing to give everything they can in order to make this work with you, and let's not get it twisted. Giselle don't need him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Giselle make more money than he do. Like, Giselle is almost a billionaire. Like, all the years that Tom Brady has played in the National Football League, he still hasn't caught up to the amount of money his wife has. So it's not like she needs his money. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wants him. So but it's sad. Hopefully he can get out of his system, man, because it's getting bad. I really like this podcast. It feels like I'm at the barbershop talking sports, and that's a vibe most podcasts don't have. Well, K-Weed, I appreciate that, man, because that's the vibe where we try to give out here. This show, we never know what direction it's going to go in. I think the topic is predictions, but then we end up talking about several other different things. But that's what we do. That's what we do here, man. It's a sports show focused on the New Orleans Saints, but at the same time, it can go off into different directions. And some people might feel like we talked a little bit longer about the Tom Brady situation, but I feel like what he's going through could possibly affect what he's doing in his game. I mean, even though in years past he's had certain hardships, rather it be a thumb injury, coming back from ACL injury, but sometimes I think we don't take that into account. Like, when a player has a bad game or something like that, like we like, man, this dude sucked. What happened today? But I remember watching a show, and it was talking with a coach, and he was talking about when you're breaking down the opponent. And he said one thing that they do is they go on social media. They see what his family life is like. They seeing how he tweeting. They seeing how his girlfriend tweeting. They trying to see how his wife tweeting. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to find a competitive advantage by any means necessary. So this right here, I don't know. This could be like one of those situations where, guys don't stop at nothing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing off limits, when they doing some trash talking on the field. So who knows? Somebody might use this as a competitive advantage, or at least they would try, but I don't think it'll work because it's Tom freaking Brady. But I mean, who knows? Any way you can try to figure a guy out and find like a little soft spot, a soft spot in the defense, you're gonna try to exploit that. That don't just mean on the field too. That means in your head as well. Montana to Rice still have nightmares as a Saints fan. Yeah, they used to. Man, that was tough. It's people like Skip Bayless that keep Tom coming back. Yeah, I mean, even today. I mean, look, whether you like Skip Bayless or not, the dude is the king of spin. He was talking today, but you can tell, like, like some people would be talking and they're talking because it seemed like they're trying to like send a message to somebody. The way that he was talking about the Saints and how the Saints have his number and bigging up Dennis Allen and all that kind of stuff, you can tell like it was like he wanted time to hear that in order for him to like try to respond. Sometimes they do that, they be trying to like send like slick messages to those guys. What's good, TJ, and the whole Who That Nation family? Kendall, thank you for being here, man. Shouts out to you. He got kids with her. He needs to be more involved with family. I mean, that's pretty obvious. If you got kids, you want to be involved with them. Nothing comes before my wife and my son and my family. You know what I'm saying? Nothing comes before that. I mean, there's been times where I say, okay, man, we're going to do a podcast tonight. Then all of a sudden, my son want me to read to him. Or, my son might want, need me to do something. My wife need me to do something. Look, I'm stopping what I'm doing because there's certain things more important than that. But I just think that he just loves football so much. But it comes a time when you have to decide, like, is this a passion or an addiction? It is becoming borderline addictive. Fact or life continues outside of football. I played semi-pro, and though it's nothing compared to the NFL, it was hard because football is life, but it all comes to an end eventually. Well, look, man, don't minimize what you've done. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that you continue to play the game, rather it was in the NFL or doing some semi-pro, you still out there putting in that work, man. So don't minimize what you're doing. But yes, you know what I'm saying? You got to be able to prioritize when you have a family and a career, right? Now, sometimes it can come off the wrong way. Like you can be so like enthralled in your career that your family may end up taking a back seat, but it's no fault. It's no fault of yours. It's just the fact that you try so hard. And I can be like that. I can get like that sometimes. Like if I'm like really involved in broadcasting or really involved in something I feel like I bring to the show, sometimes it can come off like, I mean, I'm always in the lab, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want to be successful to a point where I can be able to take care of my family and do the things that I need to do for them. So sometimes it can happen that way. But at the same time, there are certain things that you can't build while you're in the lab. There's some things that you have to build outside of the lab with your family, with your daughter, with your son, with your wife, right? There are certain things that you have to do. And everything can't just be solved with money. Everything can't be solved with fame and notoriety. Like, yeah, it's cool that when I walk out in the street, everybody loves my dad because he's Tom freaking Brady, but that's my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else do you have to offer besides the fact that if I go out here, I got the coolest dad in the world? But is he the coolest dad to me is the question. I got a cool mom, but is she a cool mom to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to be able to put in that work. You got to be able to put in that work, man, because we all know no matter how successful you are, how many of us got really good jobs, right? Real good jobs, make really good money, or we are out here doing our thing and we may be, doing better than most people, right? But when you go home, when you go in that neighborhood, guess who you are? Like, I'm TJ Jones, right? Host of the State of Saints podcast, everything like that. And I'm doing pretty well for myself as far as broadcasting is concerned. But when I go home, I'm Tim. You know what I'm saying? I'm Tim to people. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like, I'll hear, like, in South Carolina, I get called TJ so much. When I get home, it's kind of refreshing being called Tim. You know what I'm saying? Like, but people have a way of like, man, yeah, you doing this, but you're, you know what I'm saying? You're him, you know what I'm saying? You Tim, or, you're my dad, or you're Tom. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the way I look at it. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? That stuff don't matter to kids. That stuff don't matter. Like, when I look at my son, and when I look at him, like, you don't care, you know what I'm saying, what I'm doing. Like, he knows, like, okay, dad, if I pull up the YouTube show, he'll see me like, that's daddy. But guess what? It's not, he don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he care if I'm reading him a book. He care if I pick him up, spinning him around or something, or being silly in the living room with him. Some people are like, man, like, my dad's Tom Brady, he throwing touchdowns, man. But that stuff don't matter when you're a kid. Those kids want quality time. Wives want quality time. Husbands want quality time. They want you. You know what I'm saying? They want a part of you. They don't want every part of you. If you want every part of you, you may need to prioritize better. But they want a part of you that belongs to them and only them. And I can't, like I said, I cannot blame Giselle for feeling the way that she do. I don't. I can't. That's maybe the reason he wants to continue playing. Maybe his ego wants to prove he can match his wife's success. He'll never do that. I mean, plus J-Rock, that's two different things too. I'll finish reading your statement. He says, but she still makes more than him and has more international acclaim than him. Yeah, I mean, so you never gonna catch up with that. You never gonna catch up with that. I know this may be a shock to a lot of people, but football is probably most popular in America. Like they got, in Europe, man, people in all these other countries, man, they like soccer or football, as they call it. Like that's their football. His wife as a supermodel, man, she on the runway and and Tribeca, you know what I'm saying? She all up in France with it, like I mean, she everywhere. So everybody's gonna know her. She's world renowned. So I hope that's not the case. And if you're being competitive with your wife, my goodness, what are you married for? If you're competitive with your husband, what are you married for? You're supposed to be like this, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a guy and your wife makes more than you, and you're looking like, man, my wife make more than me, I feel less of a man. Like, well, you were never a man to begin with, because your manhood shouldn't be defined by money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be defined by that. Now, I get modern society will tell you, oh man, man, you got to have money in order to, to kick it and all that, man, bump all that. I'm talking about people that got their head on straight. I ain't talking about these people that living in the clouds and letting this music cloud their judgment. I'm talking about people that actually love one another, that want commitment. Like, that stuff don't matter. It's about being one. So if he's out here chasing $1 to make himself feel superior over his wife, then I think that maybe he should walk away not only from football, but from his marriage too, because that's not the way you're supposed to do things. That's not the way you're supposed to do things, because when you get married, there's no longer mine, it's ours, right? Like if you got a car and your wife got a car, it's our cars now. You know what I'm saying? Guess what? It shouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying? If she goes to the store in your car, you go to the store with her car. Shouldn't matter, like, if you know what I'm saying, like if you decide to do like certain things, because if it's beneficial to both of you, then that's what it is. So if he's out here chasing $1 to keep up with his wife, like, man, please, like, go to the local courthouse and get it over with. His wife was supportive. His crazy behind Antonio Brown in her house. Yeah, he definitely did. King Arthur, may God grant you and your family peace at this time. You have my deepest condolences from the whole Jones family. That coming from my mom right there. Shouts out to my mom in the chat. Says, where is CJ? Are we talking about CJ Gardner-Johnson? He in Philly. I feel like that first touchdown pass to Thomas made Winston realize he didn't actually have to make the perfect pass to get the completions. I hope that carries over this weekend. Who that? Well, I think that as time goes on, I think that you're going to see chemistry develop. I mean, it happens over time, man. It's not going to happen overnight. And I think as the season goes on, you're going to see more chemistry between those guys. See, the dudes probably have the right tweet to troll. My God, show mercy to Timothy on a Sunday because Cam Jordan won't. Well, I don't think nobody's going to show him any sympathy. I don't. But, man, we'll see. This should be an interesting game. CD would have definitely been in Tom's head this game. Yeah, he probably would have. All the Hall of Fame quarterbacks hated the Saints in their time. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Saints going 2-0 Sunday, just saying. Yeah, CD would have been in Tom Brady's head all game. With him, I don't even think it's about the fame or the money. Like you said, he's addicted. Yeah, he's addicted. he's addicted to everything that comes with it. I don't even think he's addicted to football at this point. I just think that he's addicted to everything that comes with it. But that's not a bad thing because the same addiction made him great. But sometimes we can just get so locked in, and you know, it can become a high. You know, like, and we all know, like, if we ever like had a family member or a friend, you know, that had to deal with, you know, drugs or something like that, you know, and you know, they'll tell you, I'm pretty sure if you're close to them, they'll tell you, like, man, I want to stop, but I can't. I've heard, you know what I'm saying? I've heard people say that before. Like, I want to get better. You think I want to be like this? You know, but sometimes, you know, it's hard to stop doing something that you just get so much, you know, in return. Like, you get the love, you get the adulation, you know what I'm saying? Probably ain't got to buy nothing in Tampa. Probably ain't got to buy nothing in Boston. You know what I'm saying? You walk in somebody's restaurant and Tom freaking Brady walk in. Like, ain't nobody going to ask you to pull out your checkbook. I don't care how much money you got. It's the fact that Tom freaking Brady is in my restaurant. Can I take a picture with you? That's good enough for me. And I can put on this wall, let everybody know that Tom Brady came through the spot. You know, let's see. Only 43 likes is criminal. Well, we got 273 people right now. So if you haven't hit the like button, I ask that you hit that like button. So please hit the like button. Please subscribe. We're trying to grow the show. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers, man. I think we're like 8,700 as of right now. So if you have not subscribed already, please do. We really would appreciate that. Saints 38-17. He has no real friends. Thank you for the $2, man, Stem. Appreciate that. Do you have an opinion on the Brett Favre situation? Yeah, no problem, man. We are towards the end of the show. Anyway, man. So feel free to ask me any questions that you can and you know that you want. We're towards the end of the show. So it don't have to be Saints related. You know what I'm saying? We talk NFL here as well. I'm pretty sure everybody knows. If you rewind to the beginning, I basically talked about what the Saints need to do in order for them to win, and I also gave my prediction score as well. And I'll give final thoughts, of course, towards the end. But what do I think about this Brett Favre situation? First off, not from Mississippi, but spent quite a few years in Mississippi. Of course, everybody knows I'm an alumni. I'll say that again, of Jackson State University. I went to Jackson State 3 years, graduated. My freshman year, I went to Dillon University in New Orleans. My mom, she stays in Mississippi, Vicksburg, Mississippi. Sister stays there as well. You know, so, you know, saying that this isn't like kind of close, and you know, I would be lying. The fact is, we know if you've been to Mississippi or you stay there, you know how poverty driven it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like we know about the water situation and how they drag their feet on, you know what I'm saying, trying to solve that situation. It's because honestly, they don't give a damn. And in situations like this, it's pretty obvious that the state of Mississippi don't give a damn about poor people. So we already realized the situation going on in Jackson, that they don't give a damn. We know that if you go to some of these places, I'm not going to call any place out because I don't want to disrespect anybody's city. But if you go to some of these places, there are very little jobs. There are very little opportunities for these people. And the fact that you're going to be robbing from people that actually need this. And I know what some people might say, well, you know, it's supposed to be you know, financial assistance, food stamps and all that kind of stuff. They taking the money that they you know what I'm saying, from that. Why don't they get up off, you know what I'm saying, they tail and do some work? If you go to some of these cities, like let's just be, man, go to some of these cities in the Delta. Go to some of these cities in the Delta when they only have like maybe one store, one gas station, and it's probably they have to get into a car if they have one and travel 30 to 45 minutes to a place in order for them to be able to do a little something to take care of their family. The fact that Brett Favre, who I don't know right now, I'm gonna look this up. Okay, the fact that Brett Favre, a legendary quarterback, as of right now, his net worth is $110 million. as of 2022, I'm looking online, $110 million. And you basically kind of colluded with city officials to pay for, to pay for a facility with poor people's money, wasn't even your own, to make yourself sound like you're a nice guy is one of the worst and most pathetic things I've ever heard in my entire life. And the fact that I'm about to make some people mad, but the fact that Brett Favre, you know that he did this, and he's still out. You know that he did these things, right? You know that, that it's been proven. But then everybody kind of turns a blind eye because everybody loves themselves some Tom Brady, right? Everybody loves him. But then you'll turn around and make, still to this day, you'll make Michael Vick feel like the worst human being on the face of God's green earth. Now I get it. I love myself some dogs too. I'm a dog lover myself. But at the same time, this man right here is taking bread out of human beings' mouth. The fact that somebody went to an office, a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, and was denied assistance because they didn't have enough, because Brett Favre and these city officials colluded in order to build this facility, is a doggone shame. It's a shame. And they ought to be embarrassed. And this is one of the main reasons why I say to this day, they need freaking term limits when it comes to these political officials. Because you have these same old farts that have been in here forever and ever and ever, amen, 93, 83, die in office. And these people have been, been bought 2, 3, 4 times over. That's the reason why. So my opinion on that, he ought to be ashamed of himself. He ought to be ashamed of himself. And the fact that Brett Favre, you know that he did this, the fact that you know that he did this is obvious. You got the paperwork. You got the paperwork. You got the evidence that he did this. And the fact that Brett Favre doesn't have the FBI at his home right now, him being arrested, is a doggone shame. It's sad. There's something wrong with society today. There's something wrong with society today. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. If you've done a crime, and this is a huge crime. This is huge. Some of y'all may not believe it. Some of y'all probably don't because you don't feel like it affects you. But this affects millions of people. Millions of people. Sometimes we just can't just think about ourselves, man, and how our situations are. Some of us, come on. Some of us probably sitting in corporate America right now, got our buttoned up shirt and got our tie on. But hell, at one time, mama was standing in that line getting them food stamps. Daddy was standing in line getting them food stamps. Like, let's not act like we so high and mighty and so, high society now that we forget about those things. Like, let's not act all fake and phony now. Now that we look out in the yard, we got some grass instead of some asphalt. Like, man, you got people out here that really need these things. So yes, it's a shame. It's a doggone shame. And I'm not, I'm not going to just turn a blind eye because, like, God didn't bless me. I ain't gotta get no food stamps no more. So what they gotta do? Like, nah, bro. These people needed this and they took it away from them. And a guy that's worth $110 million who can't reach into his back pocket and get $5 million, and he want to put his name on something that poor people gave. That poor people gave. Like, come on. He didn't build that facility. These poor people did. That's the way I feel about it. It's a disgrace. Absolutely disgraceful. You're right, but he has lawyers that can probably get him out of criminal charges. Look, that's the problem, Ryan. That's the problem right there. Because guess what, Ryan? If me and you did it, we going to jail, dog. And Ted DiBiase, exactly, the $1 million man. Ha! Ironically, right? The $1 million man Oh yeah, not even. I mean, and also Marcus Dupree. Y'all remember? I don't know if y'all remember this 30 for 30. It was the best that never was. It was about him. He was a really, and he played for like the I want to say he played for the New Orleans Breakers back in the 80s. I mean, you got a lot of hands in that cookie jar, bro. A lot of hands in that cookie jar. I mean, Ted DiBiase, how ironic is that you made a living all being called the $1 million man, and you gotta rob somebody, and you gotta rob the people of Mississippi. Yeah, man, Marcus Dupree, man, yeah, Marcus Dupree, he was in that thing. He wasn't getting as much as them. I think he was getting. They say he getting about 300, 400,000. Don't quote me on that, but it was something like that. Yeah, I believe in term limits too. Too many old farts and all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to make this show political, folks. But when you talk about situations with athletes, you got to bring up some of these situations that are going on. So wherever side of the fence that you stand on, like I whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you do behind that tent when it's time for voting, that's on you. But I just feel like when it comes to helping out people and taking bread out of the mouths of the poor and disenfranchised, it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. Always talking about black people stealing. You ain't lying. Let's see. Ted went straight uphill. Well, he been a heel this whole entire career, so why stop now, right? That's sad though, man. That's sad. That's the way I feel about it. Facility for his daughter volleyball team at that. Exactly. I mean, look, if that's your daughter, you made all this money, you know, you should want to be able to pay for it for her. But how many people, you know, that just made me think how many people we've been bigging up and talking about they donating this type of money and it ain't even theirs. Just make you think about it, doesn't it? I believe there may been certain instances when his wife was the center of attention and garnered more attention than he was. Look at as an afterthought, and that may have done something to him. J-Rock, once again, marriage is not about being competitive, and like I said before, also, if that's the case, then you don't need to be married. Yeah, you don't need to be married, man. Like, bruh. Oh my goodness, man. There's not one time in my life. Look, my wife saves lives every day. You know what I'm saying? My wife is a nurse practitioner. She goes, you know what I'm saying? She works and she knows so much about so many different things. When people go around my wife and they ask her like medical questions, like she can just tell them right off the bat. And sometimes, you know what I'm saying, like you can get into a room and people just start asking, and even though she feels very uncomfortable about that, you know what I'm saying? But not at one time have I ever just thought about, man, you know what, man, my wife the center of attention. Everybody like her more than me. Like, come on, man. Like, why are you being a competitor on the field, it should be good enough. Being a competitive in your own marriage, man, that's tough. That's tough. That's not one time. Like, if you are competing with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, heck, your son, your daughter, man, go, like, please. I mean, I gotta say it, man. This is the first time we just uploaded this, man. This is what I think. This is what I think you need to do, man.
Man, sit your dumb ass down.
Man, for real, man. Like, why are you competing with people that's supposed to be in your corner? So, yes, he is pathetic. Favre is still making appearances on NFL radio. I went to the first Breakers game. Marcus Dupree was running the rock before getting injured. Yeah, tragic. I mean, yeah, I watched a lot of 30 for 30, and I know they have one on him. And if you have not checked it out, it's called The Best That Never Was. Mississippi has a lawsuit coming. I can say this because we have 100 plus acres in the family. They hate African American people. I'm not gonna say that the entire state of Mississippi hate African American people, but I would be lying to you if I didn't. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that they have certain areas and certain individuals that still feel like it's 55. But I'm not gonna knock on every person because I do feel like there's some good people out there that think that this is an injustice. And also, I don't want to just put this just for black people. They got white poor people too. You know what I'm saying? Like they got white poor. I mean, they got poor Hispanic people. They got poor like you got people from different walks of life. Now I understand, like, if you're talking about black and white, there are more, you know what I'm saying, there's more African Americans there, you know what I'm saying, that's in poverty than whites. But they still got, you know, like, this is for everybody. Like, they took bread out of a lot of people's mouths. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think that in this particular situation, we shouldn't just look at this as a black issue or a white issue. You should be looking at this as a human issue. Like, because black people are poor, white people are poor, Hispanic people are poor, Asian people are poor. And all these people that go and file into those offices and trying to apply for these assistance, and they get denied, and not because they're not qualified, but because they had to get turned away. They had to get turned away because of the money running out, the well running dry. Say, TJ pulled out the Martin Lawrence. Yeah, man, we had to pull it out, man. Mississippi leaders have to deal with God, and his wrath is defending the meek, humble, and less fortunate. Man, look, this didn't stop in Mississippi. Since the beginning of time, people have been trying to take advantage of the poor and disenfranchised. I mean, it's just, it's been like that since the beginning of time. How many people have ancestors? And I start, you know what I'm saying, like the white people got off that boat, seen the Statue of Liberty, sign this paper here, sign this paper there. We're going to put you in the census. Then all of a sudden, like, okay, we about to put you to work. Okay, we're going to put you to work. Now all of a sudden, like, they taking money from you, right? They taking some money, you know what I'm saying? They putting you in this little shack over here. And then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, they barely giving you money, you know what I'm saying, to be able to take care of your family. Black people. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, after the Civil War. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know you want to leave, but you don't have to leave. You can help and work on the farm with us. We can be sharecropping. And then all of a sudden, when it's time to divvy up the money, well, you know, you are on my land. You know, I did give you the wood to build this house. You know, so, you know, I got to give you a percentage. Basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, coming up with these different things where poor people can never get ahead, you know? So, hey, we know, you know what I'm saying? Brett Favre and the state of Mississippi didn't do nothing that was brand new. Maybe brand new to some, but it ain't brand new to me. They've done this for a very long time. Yeah, the Department of Justice, hopefully they will, and get some of these people up out of here. Man, I'm not going, and like I said, I'm not going this deep depth into politics. I'm seeing some comments on there. I'm not getting to that, but I'm just saying, from the beginning of time, we've had situations, rather, you know what I'm saying, like, if your ancestors coming from England or coming from Ireland, or, you know what I'm saying, or wherever Africa, you know what I'm saying, like Honduras, Cuba, wherever you from, they, you know, if they came over here with lint in their pockets, I'm pretty sure they got a story to tell. Great show, TJ. I love how you tackle subjects that are uncomfortable for some. I learned so much from all my fellow Who Dat podcasters. Well, keeping it real, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Who Dat says, Derek, system is rigged. Could go 8-9. Who going 8-9? I don't see that. They gotta have some serious injuries that take place in New Orleans in order for them, in my opinion, to go 8-9. I don't know. I don't know where people getting 8-9 from. But regardless to, you know what I'm saying, what part of the show you enjoyed today, Tom Brady, the Brett Favre situation, breaking down New Orleans Saints. I'm happy that you're here. Thank you so much for being a part of the State of Saints podcast. I ask that you hit the like button. I know sometimes, you know, when we start talking about certain things that may not be considered X's and O's, or I guess I can't do quotations of football. I know some people get uncomfortable about that, but how can you not? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're talking about Brett Favre, or we talking about Tom Brady, or we're talking about like how can you not talk about life? How can you not? How can you separate that? You know, we're going to at least 10-7 with at least a wild card spot. Well, I hope so. Kurt Merritt should be active at running back. Yeah, I can see that. I can see if Alvin Kamara doesn't play, they can kind of use Kirk Merritt as a Ty Montgomery type guy, as a Ty Montgomery. Man, nah, bro. I ain't gonna read that. I don't want to talk about you know what I'm saying, people, you know what I'm saying, politicians personally. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm putting it as a wide spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Like if we gonna talk about who, you know what I'm saying, who did what, nah, man, that's another show. But if we're talking about you know what I'm saying, collusion, I mean, I ain't just gonna, you know, point the person out. I mean, it's a lot of hands in that cookie jar. It's a lot of hands in that cookie jar. There's a reason why I felt so close to home when I went to New Orleans in 2018. Our Native Americans are so close with our brothers and sisters. We took each other in during the hard times. Yeah, I just think that, you know, there is a connection. You know, there is a connection. I'm glad that you had a great experience when you went down there. I'm so happy we got Latavius Murray back. Yeah, Latavius Murray has really shown that he can do some things and he can carry the load. And when his number is called, he pretty much answers. And not to mention, he doesn't really fumble very often. He has really good ball security. Poor White's go ahead because of the new deal. That was a great windfall. Are you seeing the wealth gap play out today because of it? Well, look, man, all I know is they got black poor people, white poor people, Hispanic poor people, Asian poor people. Like, you got people that's poor. And I think sometimes we got to be very careful to not allow the same things that we're talking about that we wish would change influence us to believe in some of the things that we believe. You know, we got to be careful with that. You know, I'm not looking at it like, I'm looking at it from a human standpoint. That's why I'm looking at poor people. People ain't have nothing. And Brett Favre and those city officials took that away. Come on, TJ, tell us the truth. We cannot speak on others. They cannot speak for us. I ain't poor with 100 acres for all these years. Look, man. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm gonna tell the truth, but I don't want to just spring off into like and not understand and realize that there are, you know what I'm saying, poor people out here everywhere. You know what I'm saying, and it doesn't just, you know what I'm saying, equal to color. Now, a person can make an argument that because the state of Mississippi, you have a lot of poor black people, they can say, well, you know what I'm saying, maybe that's the reason why they didn't, you know, they did what they did, like forget them folk. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion on that, but what I'm saying is $5.4 million was taken away from people who needed it. Let's see. Everyone from 7 or knows Tyron and Leonard don't get along. That first collision will set the tone in the dome for either team. Well, I don't know. I mean, they both went to the same school, right? I don't know if they went to school at the same time. You would think that it would kind of line up based on maybe like they probably would play together, right? You would think they played together, right? Because Tyrann Mathieu came into the league maybe like 2 years before Leonard Fournette did. So you would think that they actually played at the same time, even though, you know, Tyrann was a little bit older. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they didn't play together. I'm not sure. Anybody know that any St. Aug alumni up in here know that they played together at the same time? I'm gonna see. I don't think so. Maybe they didn't, because Tyrann Mathieu, I think he 30, right? Let me see how old Leonard Fournette is. If they did, then I'm pretty sure he's 27. So I'm pretty sure they probably didn't play together. They probably just missed each other. And Tyrann Mathieu is 30. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, like, if they did play together, Tyrann Mathieu probably was a senior and Leonard was a freshman. So they both went to St. Aug. So they probably just missed each other. No, Tyron's like 4 years older. Yeah, I think Tyrann is 3 years older than him. because Tyrann Mathieu just turned 30, and Leonard Fournette birthday was in January. So, yeah, they probably just missed each other. All right, I haven't eaten yet. Everyone take care. Well, yeah, we're about to go ahead and wrap it up. But my final thoughts about the New Orleans Saints Tampa Bay Buccaneers game is very simple. The team that makes the least mistakes will end up winning the football game. The fact is, Tampa is going to have to make, they're going to have to get some turnovers in this game, in my opinion. I think that was the thing that actually got them the win against the Saints in the divisional round, because they were able to get the ball on such a short field. The Saints, I like the way that they actually played them the last time they played Tampa in Tampa. The Saints tried to do some things, and then if it didn't work, they were willing to punt the ball back to Tampa and play really good defense. If the Saints don't turn the ball over, I hope, they don't have any turnovers. You got to be able to win the turnover margin. I think they had a +1 right now, if I'm not mistaken, because they had 2, and then Mark fumbled, so they had a +1. So you got to be able to win a turnover battle. You got to be able to get Tom Brady off his spot. You got to be able to get pressure on Tom Brady. You got to be able to protect Jameis Winston, because I expect for Todd Bowles to send some pressure to Jameis to make him uncomfortable. I think that they're probably going to be looking at that fourth quarter when Dean Pease started to play a little bit of prevent, made the defense a little bit of more of a soft coverage, So I think that when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think they're going to try to continuously get pressure on Tom Brady. And it's no secret that they're going to try to exploit this offensive line. So this offensive line got to have a better showing. I also would like to see better out of the running game of the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, Taysom Hill had that big run. I think he had 80+ yards off jet sweeps. But I want to see the Saints be able to pound the football. If we're thinking that the New Orleans Saints are going to try to do some of these screen plays and all that kind of stuff, I will say this. Tampa does a really good job in years past versus the Saints when it came to covering Alvin Kamara. Devin White, whether you like him or not, Levante David, whether you like him or not, those guys are really good at covering Alvin Kamara and making him lose yards in the backfield. So you got to be able to run the ball. I don't know if you're going to be able to run it up the middle, because you got some big guys in Hicks and Vea, but you got to be able to run the ball to keep these guys, honest. Because if you go out there just trying to throw the football all over the place because you feel like maybe I can get the ball over their head and we can put up these points, then I just feel like you're going to get yourself beat. Jameis Winston, hopefully he can replicate some of the things that we see in the fourth quarter and not start so late. I'm talking about the Saints' whole offense as a staff, organization, and crew. They cannot start late versus Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got to be able to go out there and you got to play. Okay, I expect for the New Orleans Saints to go out there and win this football game. I really do. I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably going to end up trying to play some man coverage, and that kind of helped Jameis. Unfortunately, it what got him hurt. But when they were playing man coverage on that opening drive and throughout that time, Jameis Winston was killing them in a running game. Every time, they would have man coverage and those cornerbacks that have their back turned, Jameis Winston would run up the middle and he would slide, and that set up that touchdown, that first touchdown on that fade to Traquan Smith for the Saints. And even that play that got him hurt, Jameis was going to get a couple of yards. He got past Devin White. Devin White, that's the reason why he yanked Jameis Winston the way that he did. So Jameis Winston was taking advantage of what Tampa was doing. So I expect for Tampa Bay not to approach that, because they still got to take into account, even though Jameis isn't looking to run, he definitely has that capability of running. But I want to see improvement on the offensive line. I want to see the defensive line getting pressure, and I would love to see some turnovers. Okay, I would love to see some turnovers. We know that the Saints in years past, when Tom Brady has been a quarterback, they were able to get the ball back into the hands of their offense. So hopefully they can be able to get Tom Brady off his spot, generate some turnovers, and maybe put a little bit more emphasis on the running game. Should be an exciting game. I know a lot of people that's going to be in the Superdome going to be excited. It's going to be rocking anytime Tampa Bay and Tom Brady come into town. The Saints fans try to give those guys fits and make sure that their communication is very hard to to fathom. You know what I'm saying? It's because you got so much loud noise coming out of the Superdome. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate your time. I ask that you hit the like button on your way out. Okay, hit that like button. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search The State of the Saints podcast. Also on facebook.com. Search The State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. And we're also a part of the Pigskin Podcast Network. Till next time, all I got to say is